girls, today we're going to look at solving equations using the inverse method. Now while you're watching this video, it's very important that you listen carefully and you watch as I work through the equations. If at any time you're unsure or you need to go over it, please stop the video, rewind and go over the parts you need to. That way you'll get the most out of this video recording. There will be times when I will write a question on the board and I'll ask you to pause the video so that you can write the question down, take your time to work through it, restart the video, and then you'll see how I've worked through it. So off we go, girls. In order to solve equations using the inverse method, we need to recognise the rules. These rules are, when you're solving an equation and it's got a times, you use the inverse, which is divide. If you see a divide, you use the inverse, which is times. If you see a subtraction, you use the inverse, which is add. When you see an add, the inverse is subtract. When you see a squared, you use the inverse method and you square root it. When you see a square root, you use the inverse method and you square it. So it's important to know those rules. So as we go through, I will refer to them. Let's start with our first example. 2x equals 4. Now you all know, in between the 2 and the x is an invisible, as I say, multiplication. So this says 2 times x. So we look to the inverse, which is divide. We want to get rid of the 2, so we divide this side by 2. Whatever we do to the left, we do to the right. Times and divide 2 go off, and we're left with x is equal to 4 divided by 2, x is equal to 2. Example 2. X over 4, which means x divide. We look at the divide and we see the rule says because we're getting rid of the 4, we need to multiply the left by 4. Whatever we do to the left, we do to the right. Times by 4. These go off and we're left with x equals 3 times 4. X is equal to 12. Let's look at one that's a little bit harder. Example 3. 2x plus 1 equals 5. Now, the last thing we wrote down on the left-hand side was plus 1. So we look at that and we see, when we see a plus, we use the inverse method and we use it minus. So now we minus 1 on both sides. That goes off, and we're left with 2x equals 5. Take 1. 2x equals 4. We still need to go one more step. 2 times x equals 4. We use the inverse, which says divide. So we divide both sides by 2. The 2's go off and we are left with x equals 4 divided by 2. X equals 2. Have a look. Now, number 4. Square root of x equals 3. When we see the square root, we know the inverse is squared. So we square this and we square that. We're left with those going off. X is equal to 3 squared. X is equal to 9. Now as you look at that, notice when I use a different colour pen, I'm showing you the inverse method. And what I'd like you to do now is stop the video, take out your exercise books, write the heading, put down your rules, and copy these down into your exercise book just as I have. It's really important that you use the 2 colour pens so you can see the process. Once you've done that, you can start to have the video going again. So stop the video or pause it now, Write these down, and when you've finished, restart it. Okay girls, I hope you've managed to understand what you had to do there and you understood the worked examples. Now what I'd like to do is put some work for you on the board to write down and try for yourself. Let's go. Pause the video now, write this question down and take a few minutes to work through it, remembering your rules. Once you've worked through it, you can start the video again. Right girls, I hope you managed to work through that one. Let's work through it together. 4 times x equals 8. So now we use the inverse, which is divide. So we divide both sides by 4 to get rid of our 4. Whatever we do to the left, we always do to the right. So now we've got x equals 8 divided by 4. X equals 2. Check that you have your equal signs under each other. You've used your different colour pens and underlined your answer. If you got that right, well done girls. Excellent. Next one. 3x take 3 is equal to 9. Pause the video, write down the question and work through it yourself. When you've finished, restart their video and see if you've got the same answer as I have. Okay girls, I hope you managed to work through that one. The last thing we wrote down here was the subtract 3. So now we do the inverse, which is add 3. Whatever we do to the left, we do to the right. These go off. We're left with 3x equals 9. We still have one more step. There's a times there, 3 times x equals 9. So now we do divide by 3 on both sides. We're left with x is equal to 9 divided by 3. X is equal to 3. Did you get the same answer? I hope so. And if you did, and you've got your equal signs under each other, you've shown with different colour pen your process, well done girls. If you haven't, please go through the video again, rewind, stop and start where you feel you need to so that you can consolidate what you've learned about solving equations using the inverse method. We'll go over some more difficult ones in class tomorrow and also look at how we can apply this to our everyday life. So maybe before you come into class, you might have a think about how do we use this in our day-to-day life. I've also sent you a link to look at a YouTube song called Call Me Maybe. It's a great little song, a popular song as you all know, but it uses information about solving equations in a nice funny manner. So have a look at the link I've given you. It's a nice little song that you'll enjoy. See you tomorrow girls. Bye.